Hi everyone, welcome once again to my podcast. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm glad that you could join me. Please, if this is your first time, go back and watch my other videos so that you would understand where we are. Welcome once again to my podcast, and my name is Letitia. We will pick it up from where we left off last week. We are still talking about the king of Judah, King Hezekiah, and today we are looking at the latter years of King Hezekiah and what he did and what he did not do. So, when we left off last week, we talked about the enemy. When the enemy comes, what do you do? So, and then the other week we talked about what Hezekiah did, him cleaning up the temple and everything else that pertains to that, including the Passover. So today we start off at a place where Hezekiah is sick. In the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 32, from verse 24, the story is of how we are told that Hezekiah was really sick and near death. Hezekiah prayed to God and asked God to heal him. God sent a prophet to him to come and tell him that his time was up. So the prophet came to Hezekiah and told Hezekiah, I'm sorry, but this disease that you have right now is not going to get better. You are going to die. Immediately Hezekiah heard that. He went back to God and told God, please, I am not ready to die. Give me more time. Now, that is me saying it. We are not told exactly what Hezekiah prayed for. That's just me putting words in there. But yeah, bottom line is that Hezekiah prayed and he asked God to give him some more time. As the prophet was leaving, God told the prophet, go back and tell Hezekiah that I've heard his prayers and I will give him more time. First of all, you have to notice that as Hezekiah was praying for more time, he actually told God, look at all the good things that I've done. So Hezekiah had a record of being good, and therefore when he went to ask for more time, he had something tangible to pray for. So the prophet went back in and told Hezekiah, God has heard your prayer, and he says that he's going to give you some more time. He was told 15 more years to live. And Hezekiah was like, how will I know that God is going to heal me and give me more time? Then the prophet told Hezekiah, ask for a sign. And so Hezekiah asked for a sign that the shadow would go back 10 steps, I think. And by that, he will know that God has healed him. And so Hezekiah, exactly that happened, like the shadow went back, the steps that Hezekiah had asked. And then afterwards, we are told that Hezekiah is recovered from the sickness. That is, after 3 days, Hezekiah recovered from his sickness. And therefore, he went on becoming rich. We are told from verse 27 that Hezekiah had very great riches and honor. He made himself treasuries for silver, for gold, for precious stones, for spices, for shields of all kinds of desirable items. Basically, we are told that Hezekiah went on to become more and more prosperous and added a lot more wealth. But as that was going on, two things happened during those 15 years that Hezekiah was given. Number one, he had visitors from Babylon who came because they had heard that Hezekiah was really sick and he was healed. So they came to see Hezekiah and to pass their not condolences, but congratulate him for being well. When Hezekiah received them, he was so excited that he ended up showing them around. And after showing them around, the people of Babylon came later on to take over the land, and we know that the people of Judah went into captivity in Babylon, thanks to what Hezekiah did. But apart from that, a son was born unto him. The son was called Manasseh. We are told that later on Manasseh became king at 12 years old. So when you do the calculation, you can easily tell that Manasseh was born when Hezekiah was given the 15 more years to live. The story ends that when Hezekiah was told that trouble is going to come because of what he did, Hezekiah was like, oh, it's okay. Thank God I'm fine. At least, during my time there will be peace and all that. And after a while, Hezekiah ended up dying, and that was the end of his story. Hezekiah's story is very good. But when you read towards the end of his story, he made some choices that were not really right. First of all, according to me, when he was told that his time was up, I feel like he should have just said, yes, Lord, and go on with the flow. But instead, he asked for more years. And we know, later on, we're going to speak about Manasseh in the next episode. And we know how Manasseh ended up messing up the kingdom of Judah and what happened as a consequence to what he did. So if Hezekiah had agreed to die, nothing like that would happen. But apart from that, if he had died, then the people of Babylon would not have come into the country to see him and ended up knowing, yani this country of Judah is actually a good country. We can come in and take possession of it, because they wouldn't have known if Hezekiah had not shown them everything that he did. So here again we see the wisdom of God. God knows at every juncture of our lives, he knows what we ought to do, and he has the final he has the final authority over our lives. We like saying, may God's will be done upon our life, but it is really difficult sometimes when that will does not make sense, when that will is not okay with our flesh and what we desire. And we see that in Hezekiah's life. As much as he had accomplished so much and he knew that God was always on his side, when it was time to die, he didn't want to die. He wanted to live longer. And of course, any of us can see that, because when we are so scared of death, because we do not know what is on the other side. So most of the time, we would want to hold on into life because we know that, like this is the only thing we know. But if Hezekiah had actually had what God had said, none of these things would have happened. Manasseh would not have been born and all that. But apart from that, on the other side, Hezekiah going to God and asking him to be merciful and heal him and give him more time, and God responding affirmatively to that, also shows us a God that is merciful, a God that actually hears his people when he calls, when the people called unto him. But apart from that, there's something else that we learn from the story of Hezekiah. Hezekiah did not just go to God like that. He had some substance. There were some things that he did for God, that when he went to God and told God, give me more time, God was able to do that. So that is a need for the rest of us. That is something to learn from Hezekiah about our own lives. What do we have? When we are finding trouble, when we find ourselves in trouble, maybe we are sick or things are not going well, and we go to God and pray. Yes, we can just pray and tell God, oh please God, heal me because you are my healer and all that. But there's some more of substance when we actually remind God what we have done for him. I like the story of Mordecai. When the king could not sleep the entire night, and he decided to open the book of remembrance, he saw what Mordecai had done. And he asked his people, the person that Mordecai has healed, has anything happened to Mordecai because of what he did for me? And he was told nothing happened to him. And so he ended up compensating Mordecai by like putting him in a horse and honoring him, basically just honoring him for what he had done. So it's good to do good. It is good to be faithful, because there is some compensation towards that. But as we end off the story of Hezekiah, there is something else that I think about. I usually say it's not how you start that matters, but it is how you finish. You can start well, but how do you finish? When Hezekiah was told that things will not happen in your time, but in your children's time, Hezekiah was like, oh, thank God I'm fine. He did not care about his offspring to think about what will happen to them. And that is really wrong. And I feel like so many people only think about themselves and don't think about their own children. Because I believe what happens, some things might not happen to me, but things can happen to my children.
You're being called.
So I pray that this has been an encouragement to you. Please keep on praying, keep on seeking the face of God, and I know that God is going to bless you. Thank you so much for being with me, and I pray that you will join me next time. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your time. Amen.